Okay, so good afternoon. So today we discuss about important topic of object-oriented programming system, and we continue the yesterday's seminar session. So today we discuss about multiple inheritance, type of inheritance. So in case of multiple inheritance, there are two base class. There are two base class. And depend on these two base class, we implement both the base classes in derived class. These are the concept of multiple inheritance. So by continuing the yesterday program, that is we create one base class that is student, then another base class that is result. Okay, sorry, mark, and we are going to implement these both the base classes into the class result. So again the data member is same. For student we have name and roll number. For marks we have the marks of the subjects, and in student we have to give a result whether he is pass or fail. Okay. So both data members are required in the class result to calculate whether the student pass or fail. Okay, and for the same we use here but access specifier that is protected. Protected access specifier we are going to use here. Okay. Now, so we are switched to program directly. So first we enter two files. One is hash include iostream.h and pony.h. Now very first class, that is a class student. We are going protected we have to use here. Till date we are using public and private, but now we are going to use one more access specifier that is protected. So about the protected, uh, we have to keep in mind that it's behave as a public and private both. That means for the class which inherit this, it will behave as a public. Okay. Otherwise, for the outside class, it will behave as a private, and we have to use the function to access this data member. But for the classes who uh, inherit this base class, for that this protected access specifier become the public one. So next one is the roll number r underscore no, and then the name which we have to use here, name array of characters. So we can get 20. Their name 20 is there. Public part is there. Public void read. So void read here we just have to receive the input from the user. So we write this function. Now you are very much aware about this because the same we are covering multi single level and multi level inheritance. Here we just print message, enter name and roll number. So backslash and C in. For name we use the variable name. For roll number we use variable r underscore no. These are the two data members which we required here. Then here we end up with the class student, and now we have the new class that is a marks. So again, protected specifier we have to use int m1, m2, and m3 marks. Subject public part is there, as we have to take an input of this. So void read. Now we have to write the code inside this function. Cout, enter marks of three subject. So one more thing we have to do here, we just change the name of this function because read function we already using student class. So read marks, name of the function which are going to use here. Okay. So you have if any issue or any queries, you can ask me in this code. So just open the file, previous file. Okay. You just write the code for this thing. Now, so the concept is that we have to inherit the both the classes in the derived class. So for the same, we are going to write a code. Okay. So as we have to use the multiple inheritance, so for that, again we are going to write the same as to some interrupt. We have to stop over. But now we continue with the same. So I string dot h and then hash include uh, new dot h. Okay. Then we have to write a class student. Okay. So same. Now the important thing is that we are going to use here a protected access specifier. So protected is that one is r underscore another one is the character of name, char name of 20. These are the two data member. Now we make one function that is a public function, and uh, right here void read. Void read here we have to write cout enter name and roll number backslash c in here name, and for roll number we have to write r underscore okay. So these are the name and roll number. So we just end this class student here. Then we are going to write another class that is marks. So marks is that is protected. So here we have to write M1, M2, and M3. In public we have to receive this information. So part void read. As read function is we have write already. So here we mention the function read marks. Okay. Now for the same see out how the message enter marks of three subjects. So we need to enter the marks of three subjects. So again, backslash n. Okay. Now in C in, have to receive the input of N1. So it needed. We write this one Now, important thing is that these two are the base class. Why these two are the base class? Why mark is not the derived class of the class student? Because in the front of mark class, we are not mentioned public of student. So as we are not going to mention public of student, so we can't say that the mark is a subclass of student. Both are the separate. Now these both class we are going to implement in the class result. So here we have to write class result. Okay. Now it's public of students and public of marks. So public of student, comma, public of marks. Okay. So we inherit the both the classes here. Private one and RES result second. Okay. Because we use this variable because we have to copy this string pass or fill in the variable and then float of percentage. Okay. So these are the private part. Now we have to mention the public one. So for public, void calculate. In this we are going to calculate the marks that is the student is pass or fail. So what we have to do? We have to first need to check if one greater than equal to 40 and m2 greater than equal to 40 and m3 equal to m1 m2 m3 all are greater than equal to 40. So then we are using one function here cpy and we are going to copy and pass res variable. If the student is passed, then we need to calculate the percentage. So percentage is equal to what? The subject marks on 1 plus m2 plus m3 and divided by 3.0. It's conversion. That means if you have to go into convert the type of data into the float. So we calculate the percentage if the student is passed. But if he is failed, then we have to go for else part. Else strcpy res form need not to be calculated percentage. So these are the if else part where we calculate percentage of the student and respectively marks of this. Now we have to display all this information. So we create one more function that is a pointer display. Point display. 11 we create a zero name. It's a name variable. Your roll number. It's R underscore no and backslash. name, roll number, and marks. So see how one. Into. Into. Express. So this print the marks of this subject. Okay. Now, if you have to give a message that student is pass or fail. So if RES variable contain the pass string, that means is pass, otherwise it is fail. So we write one logic here. If strcm, again it's a what you can say, it's a string function. Pass RES. Okay. So we have to compare these two things. That means if the both the string are same or equal, that means RES is equal to pass is equal to RES. That means if RES contains the pass keyword, okay, that means this condition is true. But if RES contains the fail keyword, in that case, this statement is not true. Okay, in that case, this statement is not true, and this statement is fail. So this is only possible in case of let's load okay. Variable tr. So just print it. Okay, backslash and okay. So these are the conditions here. The student is pass. But if this condition is not true, that means student is fail. We are doing else statement. So these are the structure for program. Here our display function oriented. These are the what we say that class result and the multiple inheritance where we inherit the public part of student and public part of marks. Okay. Now we have to access all these functions. So to access all these functions, we need to create an object of the child class. So here is only one child class, that is a result. So we have void result object. CLR. So here we have R dot A, R obj dot marks. Then calculate and display function are there, so we use this R obj dot calculate R obj dot display. So these are the main function. Now this filter save. So compile. 4 error is there, so we have to find out. Okay, we use this string function strcmp strcp1. For that we have to make function number 5 which support the string function, that is string. Okay. So let me compile this. Okay. So string compare strcmp is the function, and you compare this function. Now it's okay. Okay. So strcmp pass res equal to 0. Say this, compile this. Only one error is there. R obj dot calculate. So maybe our function name is not calculate, it is something different. So we check it. Okay. See. Yeah. Okay. Spelling mistake is side. Now it's okay. So when we say this and compile this, so no error. On the same program, we go to run name. Let's say Nitin. Roll number. Let's say 23. The marks of 3 subjects. So 45, 67, 78. When we enter this, we get all the information. The thing is that here we are going to use or implement the multiple inheritance. Okay, it's a type of the multiple inheritance. Okay, so one more. So it's for the whole number. That's 34. This subject, this one, we will get a message. It's this one. So this is all about the multiple inheritance which we are implementing. So you just go through the code. If you have any doubt, ask me. Okay, we are going to do. In this way, we are implementing multiple inheritance. Now there is one more construction. There is one more concept in uh, object-oriented programming system. And the same concept we are to use in Java also when we are going to discuss on the Java language in next session, because today is the last session. Object-oriented C++. Okay. Then from tomorrow we are going to discuss about the Java session. So in that also we are going to implement this concept, and this is nothing but the constructor. So what is a constructor? So we just take a look of this. Okay. So when we are going to discuss about constructor, so very first point is that it is a special type of function. So about the constructor, the first point is that it is special type of function. Okay. Second type, the name is same as class name. Name is same as the class name. Okay, the name of constructor is same as the class name. Third one, it don't have any return type. You have to keep this point in mind in asking interview. Don't have any return type. Fourth one, it may have argument or without argument. May with or without argument. May or may not have an argument. So these are the some properties of constructor, and this is the important part. Basically, it is used to initialize object. Used to initialize an object. It is used to initialize an object. So this is important one. Okay, about the constructor. So it is used to initialize an object. So it gives some value to an object. Uh, One more concept is there. Likewise, constructor. So destructor is there, which used to describe the object. Okay. So the concept of destructor is that only it will use to deallocate the memory, or it will free the object. So best way we can define the destructor that it just free the object by initialize. Yeah. value object. So value may be that it may be have object have a number, or it may have a name, or it may have some decimal value. Maybe it may be anything. So it just free the object of open memory, but it's storing the value of object. Okay. So this is the type, or this is the important concept about what we say uh, constructor and destructor. Okay. So we just take a look of one simple program. That program will help you to understand this concept. Okay. So you just go through this. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay. So we're going to discuss about constructor and destructor. So we include hash, include string hash, include new. So we create one class that is a base class. Basically, we are implementing the constructor concept in the inheritance. Huh? So we are going to discuss both constructor also and inheritance also in the same program. So this is the class base. Okay. Now let's see. So private. Okay. Or as we have defined the function, because constructor is a special type of function. So we define one constructor base, since the constructor name is same as the class name. So here we are going to define constructor of base class. Now to define a destructor, to define a destruction, use this tilde sign. This is the tilde sign. This. Okay. It's rarely used, and destructor concept is not in Java. It's only in C++. So see out, then we have to define here the destructor of base class. Backslash. This is what the constructor we create, and respective destructor of the same class we create. Now after base class, we define the array class, the array that is the derived class, and it inherit the public part of the base class. That means it contains both the constructor and destructor of the base class. We can say, because when we are going to write the public part of this, so public part is by default inherited in the derived class. So here public derived class. So, constructor of derived class. This is the constructor of the derived class. Now, when we are to going for it, so here destructor of derived class. Now the simple concept is that we create the constructor of the base class, then we create the destructor of the same base class, then we create the constructor of the derived class and the destructor of the same derived class. So the thing is that we create all this now. We have to call this. So we just end here this function. Now to call we have to create the object. So void name. Now think about constructor is that it need not call explicitly. The important point is that you have to just keep in mind. For constructor, we need not to call explicitly. The constructor always call implicitly. So by default, it will call. Okay, you need not to call them explicitly. So when we create an object, it will call automatically. So what I do, I write some function here, clr here output string. Okay, I just create the object of derived class because derived class contain the properties of the public properties of the base class, the obj. Okay, so this will call that. So then get ch. Get okay. So this we have to. Now you have to observe output here. So constructor of base class, constructor of derived class. What is the output on the output screen? So the output is that constructor of base class and constructor of derived class. Okay. Okay. But if you remember, okay, we are going on the programming. This statement you will not form destructor of base class or destructor of derived class. We just found the statement like constructor of base class and constructor of derived class. Okay, just I'm going to the screen. Okay. So we will not get statement. Now, one thing I will do, I just hide this CLR itself. I make it comment. Now CLR itself statement is no more in our program. Okay. Now check the output. So constructor of base class, constructor of derived class, destructor of derived class, destructor of base class, again constructor of base class, constructor of derived. Now what happened when I terminate the program? Okay, when I terminate the program will call the destructor. program will call the destructor to deallocate the object. That means freeze the memory. But when we compile the program, again object will initialize. Okay. When we terminate the program, again object deallocate the memory and it calls the destructor. Okay. Now one more thing, if you observe, you write in program, if you keep in mind the order. So first statement is that constructor of base class. Okay. The second statement is that destructor of base class. Okay. Next statement is that constructor of derived class. Okay. And the last statement is that destructor of derived class. But if you found, but if you found the order of construct destructor is changed, that means destructor of derived class call first, and after that the destructor of base class will call. What I say? Destructor of derived class call first, and then destructor of base class will call. Now, why this happen? Destructor. This is the point to think over it, and it's the important one. Huh? A destructor of derived class is written in at last, but before calling the destructor of base class, destructor of derived class call first, and then destructor of base class will call. The reason behind that, if you consider the two storage building, first one is the base, second one is the first floor. Okay, so base ground is there, base and the first floor is there, or ground floor and first floor. So ground floor is nothing but the base floor. Okay, and then first floor. Okay, in this way you will construct the building. But if you have to destroy it, if you have to destroy it, so you will first destroy the first floor and then base, that is the ground floor. You will first destroy the first floor and then ground floor. Okay, so for destructor the order is reverse. Okay, for destructor the order is reverse of the constructor. So in this way this constructor and destructor call itself. Okay, so again it's a single level of inheritance. Okay, so uh, if you have any doubt or any query, so you can ask me. I will give you 5 minutes to think or to study this program. After that, we will cover our next topic. Okay. So the till time, whatever be the constructor we discuss. It's what we say that the constructor without argument. Okay, we just call the constructor. We don't have any argument. Now we have to define a constructor with some argument. That means it have some initialize process to object. File new, and we have to write this code now. So now we are going to define one constructor. It has some values, and that value will use to assign the values of the object. So hash include I oh string dot h. Hash include dot h. Class base private part values here. Okay, part. Now we have to call the constructor. So constructor with this name same as the class name. Good. We have the name same as the class name. So B1 and B1. So we are going to assign value A equal to A1 equal to B1. Now void function is there. Switch to some values. See how as we are in this structure A colon B colon backslash. These are the value of A and B which we are going to print here. Whatever the value of in A1 we have to store in A, and whatever the value in B1 we are going to store in B, and that A and B we are going to print over here. Okay. Lab programming for problem solving. लैब है सर उसका लैब है हाँ ठीक है So destructor, we have to call the constructor. So we are going to write a program in which uh, we write a one base class. In that we define one constructor of the base class with two values a1 and a2. Then we are going to call the second class, that is the derived class. It also have some value c1. Now the point is that if one have the base class with value 2 a1 and a2, and one have derived class which initialize only uh, with one value c1. So how we have to call these, because we can create only one object in case of inheritance, and you have the two constructor. So you have only one object. Okay, one thing. Second thing, you have two called two types of constructor, one for the base class, one for the derived class. So how we will achieve this? So it's the important question which arises. Okay, so it's a important question which arises, and for that we have one base and one derived class. Okay, so how we will achieve this? Because we can create just one object in case of inheritance. Okay, and we have the two base and derived class. So how we will achieve this? So for the same, we are going to look of the program. It's now. Okay, so these are the two values a and b which we initialize with a1 and b1, and one is the class that is the derived. Okay, inherit public part of the base class. So public of base, private part int c. Okay, now the public method which we have defined. Public one, here we call the constructor dri, print A1 in B1. Okay, C1. A1, B1, C1 are the three values. Out of A1 and B1, we have to pass to the base class. So to pass it into the base class, we write structure of base, and we have to just pass A1, comma B. So A1 and B1 will pass to the base class from the derived class. Okay, and C1 will be assigned in the derived class. So how it will work? We will check. So here C equal to C1. So the value of C1 will assign to the C. Now it's important. First we again discuss about this, then we will move forward, because this topic is much important one. Because when we discuss about Java, so in that case also you have to use the constructor in inheritance. So it will be clear if you will understand this properly. Now, in short, I will repeat. You just keep in mind. In base class, we have two variables a1 and b1. In private part, both are of type int. In derived class, we have only a one variable of type int. Okay. Now, a1 and b1 and c1 total are the three variables, including base and derived class. Out of which c will be assigned in the derived and ab will be assigned in the base class. So a1 b1 will going to assign into a and b, and c1 will going to assign into the c. In this way, we are going to assign the values in the respective objects. Now, we define one function that is a display, going to display all the values. To see out query, okay, the value which we have to print a and b, because okay, a and b we have. So a and b is the base class value, then b, and then we have to print this direct class value also. So it will be have to print it. So in base class, in derived class, we are going to print three values a, b, and c. Okay. Now, if you keep in mind, we define the both function is of same name, display. Okay. So how we will call this display function, because it's a type of overriding and polymorphism which we discussed at an earlier part of our session, that polymorphism is the ability to take more than one form. So to take more than one form, that means the display function can display in the base also, and display function can display in the derived also. Okay. So in both cases, the work of the display function is a different one. In first display, it's just going to print a and b value. In second display, it's going to print a, b, and c value. So likewise, it will print over here. So we create first base. Here we create two objects. One is the base and derived first. Till time we are only going to create the derived first object, but for this program we are going to create the base obj, which have the two values. Base have the base b obj. We are going to pass 10, not 20. Okay, it's two value. One pointer variable we are going to define here. Why? So we will discuss later on. Pointer bpt. CLR. Now bptr is the pointer, is the base variable pointer, where you can store the address of the object. Okay, so when we are going to store the address of address of base object, okay, we are going to store the object of base object, and that base object when called, that means bptr will call the function, but when pointer call the function we have to use the arrow operator. When pointer call the function we have to use the arrow operator. So bptr arrow display. Now in this case, pointer variable, that is bptr, going to print or call the display function and not the BOBJ, not the base OBJ. Okay. Why not the base BOBJ? Because we have to call with reference to the pointer. Okay. Then second one is derive. BOBJ. So in derive class we have the three values. So it's a 10, 20, 30. Or we're going to change some values. Now the same, I'm going to use the base pointer variable, but rather than storing the address of base object, now we are going to storing the object of DOBJ. Okay. Now I have to call bptr arrow display. Okay, so DOBJ is there, bptr, then derivative object ampersand of DOBJ is there, and then we are going to call the display function. Okay, so this protected access specifier, because we have to access and do both. Now it's okay. Now in first case it will print 1020, in second case it will print 1120. Okay, so why this happen? Because when we are going to assign the reference and call the display function, so by default it will going to call the display of the base class, whatever be the reference or whatever be the value we are going to assign. It will not. Okay. So in this program, priority is given to type of pointer variable. Okay. So in this program, priority is given to the type pointer variable which we are used. Okay. Which address we are going to assign, it doesn't matter, but it will only call the function of the base class because the pointer is that it gives the priority to the base class display. Okay. Now a little change I done here. I just use one keyword virtual. Why I use this, I will explain later on. Now see the output 10, 20, 11, 20, 12. Now here, as we use the virtual keyword, so virtual keyword when we use, so though it will execute as per the address of the object which you are assigned. When we are use the virtual keyword, it will execute the function as per the address. Okay, what address you are assigned, as per that it will going to assign the, it will going to execute the function what address we are assigned. So when we use the virtual keyword and we are going to call the function, so at that time it will give a preference to the address. It will give the preference to the address. But when we are not use this keyword and we are just use the display function, so at that time it will give the priority to the pointer variable, which pointer variable we are going to use, and according to that pointer variable it will assign the function. Okay, so it will call the function of that base class only. When virtual is used, so it will give priority to the address which are assigned in that specific pointer variable. So the importance of the uh, virtual keyword actually, and the same thing we can say that it's nothing but the last feature which we are going to discuss is about dynamic binding. So dynamic binding is that the function call will depend at the runtime. So in this way, if both the function we are use but of the same name, that means function overriding we are achieve here, but which function is called it depends at the runtime. Okay, so depend on the address of the object which we are going to assign in that pointer variable, and the address which we are assign in the pointer variable with respect to that specific class function will going to execute. So uh, this is all about virtual function. Then we can say it's about a function overriding. Function overriding also we are assigned achieve here. This is the much more important concept in object oriented programming system. So if you have an issue or any doubt, so you can ask me. Next, we are going to discuss again one important concept about object-oriented programming system. But still, if you have any doubt in this, so you please clear it. Okay, so our next is very much important topic. That's pure virtual function. So before going to that program, we have to see some scenario. So in pure virtual function, what we have to do? First, you just consider one scenario. Scenario is like that. You have one parent class. Okay, so you have one parent class media, and with this class you have two data member. One is the media may have some title and it has some price. Let's say cassette or let's say book. Book have some title and book have some price. Okay. Now this parent class you need to assign in two different classes. So one class is cassette. Cassette. Cassette have all these features. That is the title. The cassette also have the price. Cassette have some playtime. Okay, it has some playtime. So how many time it need to be played? That means it's a 2 hours of cassette or it's 3 hours of cassettes. Okay, like that. Then we have some other class that is a book. So book also have the same title price. So with title price, it's a number of pages. Number of pages. So the scenario is that we have one parent class media. So parent class have two data member. One is title, another one is the price. Then we have two subclasses. One is cassette, another one is book. So cassette inherit the media class and book is also inherit the media class. So cassette have two data member, same title price, and one more that is a playtime. And book have also the same data member of the media that is price and title, and one more that is the number of pages. Okay, so the thing is that we have to implement this class in all the classes. Now, cassette have display function. How the scene is that it have display function. In book also have the display function. So we have to override these two display function. But but the thing is that if we have to override any function in inheritance in object-oriented programming system, so that overrided function must be in the base class. So that override function must be in the base class that is in display also. But in media there is not no need of this display because cassette and book already have the display, so they will print all the whatever with the features, title, price, and playtime. So media don't need to have that function, but till we have to keep it in the media class, then and only then we can override this. But as it will not perform any function, so we have to keep it as a virtual, and that's known as virtual function, and that is nothing but the pure virtual function. The function which have the definition, which don't have a body, okay, it's known as the pure virtual function. Pure virtual function is known as, this concept is known as pure virtual function. This is important. Again, the definition is that function, only the function definition is there, not a body, so it's known as pure virtual function. When we have function definition only and not a body, so then it is known as the pure virtual. Okay, so we are going to implement it in our program. So iStream.h is there, Coder.h is there. Okay, so one more function we are implement here, that is a string.h. Okay, because we are going to use some string function here. To use this string class function, or sorry, string file function, we need to mention string.h. So very first we have to define a class media. It's a parent class. So here class media. So then it's protected type, because we have to use this features in next class. So protected, it has two types. One is the title, and have the price. Okay, title and price are the data member. Then we have public part. As we are going to use the constructor, so constructor name same as the class name. So we use media, and title and price is there. So char enter t, because we have to receive the character string. So we use the pointer variable, so it can receive the string of character. Then float for price. Let's say we take variable p. Now we have to just assign this t into the title. So for that we use string function str cpr, whatever be the argument we receive, the title we receive from object direct in pointer t, we have to assign into the title. Now price is in small letters, so price equal to p. Okay, so for void display we define one function virtual void and display. In virtual void display, as it has only the definition and not the body, so it's known as the pure virtual function. Okay. Why pure virtual? Because we only define it because we have to override this function into this class. Another one is class cassette. Public. Private part. In private, we have the play times of p underscore time. Then again we have to go into constructor public. So is it the title and price have the same, so we have to keep it as it is, because when we going to create a constructor in inheritance, so we need, okay, and for p time, so we receive int pt p time, then colon, the next class is media. So media, now in media we have to title and pricing media. So t comma p, already type to mention here, so we have to just mention the variable. So we define one constructor of name cassette. Now here only the playtime is there, so we already define one function p time, p underscore time equal to p is there, playtime is there, p is there. Okay, then we are going to print this, so void display. Again same function we are going to use, display. So see out. So here cassette. So we are going to print the title, and after title uh, we have to print the price. So it is in the variable price, and after price we need to print the playtime. So it is in p underscore time. These are the three data numbers. So title, price, and playtime. That is a p underscore time. So these are the data member which we are going to print in the class cassette. Then we define the another class for the book. Okay. So for book we have to define all this thing. So I just copy this class and do the necessary changes only. So the next class is book. Okay, so it's a number of pages. Page. So here it just changes. We have to receive number of pages. Let's say entries here for that. So we have to store this number of pages in the variable in underscore page. Okay. So in display function, we need to display the title, price, and number of pages. So in underscore page. expression. Here also which is going to print the expression. Now we need to print all this information. So print name. So we create one object of class cassette. We have to initialize with name, price, and playtime. So let's say, so cassette have two parameters. One is the present movie, the parameter time, playtime, price and playtime. Okay. So after that, one more object we have to create, that is a book. So it's a BOBJ book object. Again, we have to give the three parameters. One is say name XYZ, then price say 67, number of pages say 432. So now we create the object of media. Okay. Say it's a pointer ptr2. We create the array of pointer. In our first pointer we serve the object of COBJ, and second pointer we serve the object of DOBJ. Okay. So before write, mention one error is here. Clear the screen. Now ptr 0 is equal to ampersand of say COBJ. Okay. So ampersand of COBJ, and ptr say ampersand of BOBJ. Now it will call as per the address which we assigned, because we use the keyword virtual. Okay. So I just use one loop for print both are equal to 0 or less than equal to 2 I plus plus. So the point is that which display to call. So ptr0 contain, when I equal to 0, ptr0 contain the object of cassette. So we require get the object display of the cassette object, and when ptr1 I equal to 1, so it contain the object of book. So it will in the display of book. Okay. So there is no need of I equal to 2, so we just use less than 2, 0 and 1. When we save this, Oh, it's a name of book. Product character. It's Let time you need to store the PT because P and P, that means title and price, is for this class, not so it is for this P and Destructor. Okay, so today we should stop here. Uh, the next portion we will discuss in the next class, and we will continue this topic. Presently, we are just going to discuss that we are just use the virtual display function to print this display, and the respective object address when which we are going to assign. Accordingly, the function will be called. So, if you assign the address of COBJ, so the function of the cassette class will be called. If you assign the address of BOBJ, then the display function of the uh, book class will be called. So it depends on which reference variable we are going to store and print the value. Okay, so this is all about today's session. This is all about object-oriented programming system. So in next topic, we are going to cover the Java session. Okay, so thank you.